Take Command podcast from Odyssey Sports. Craig Hoffman here, Logan Paulsen there. Join us live on Thursday night right here on the Odyssey Sports YouTube page, if that is where you are watching this episode. We are hoping to be live streaming at 7 o'clock. Also, we will send out the StreamYard link, which is the software, I guess, website, whatever it is, that we use to record so that you guys can actually come in the studio with us, this virtual studio, and ask us questions in person. So we look forward to that coming up on Thursday night. All right, Logan, we look broader scope. The dust has settled. Cardinals lose again last night. They're really now officially out of it. The news just came down. Kyler Murray did indeed tear his ACL, which is such a bummer.
That is a bummer.
Last night on that third play of the game when he went down and ultimately was carted off against New England. So the teams that are possible to make the playoffs now have really been narrowed down. The Lions are trying their damnedest to get back into it.
Yeah.
I will include them kind of as the floor here. But in the NFC, Philly, Minnesota, San Francisco, Tampa are your division leaders right now. Dallas, Washington, New York, the three NFC East teams have the three wild card spots. You have the Seahawks at 7-6, a half game back of Washington, New York, and then a game behind them at 6-7 are the Detroit Lions. If you are the Commanders, like how much looking around are you doing, if anything? And kind of what's the conversation in the locker room this week leading into this game? Where, by the way, if you win this, the stats say you're somewhere between 85 and 90% likely to make the playoffs. So I think it really is easy for Ron to be like, hey, guys, focus on this one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. To me, there's no looking around because you control your own destiny. The only time you look around is when you don't control your own destiny. You're like, oh, this team has to lose when they play this team, and this has to happen, and the stars have to align, and lightning has to strike this spot 3 times. That's the stuff you're like looking around for, and you're like, well, can we get in? Can we get in on some lucky stuff? But when it's in your hands, when it's your thing to control, it makes it very straightforward. It's like win this game, take advantage of this opportunity, and you're going to be in an excellent spot. So, like I said, I think this is exactly how you write it up. If you're Ron Rivera, you basically say, we took a tie when we're in the Meadowlands. We're coming off the bye. We have an extra week of prep. Our guys are going to be healthier. It's at FedEx Field. Like this should be, I'm not saying easy win because there are no easy wins, but as easy as a win as you can get. And, when that's how I'd like to bet. I'd like to bet on it because, I want to make the playoffs. I want this team to make the playoffs. And that's the parameter I'd love to have. A game where I'm coming off the bye. Scott Turner's excellent off the bye. It's at home, not a big road trip deal. Like, let's get this thing done. Let's get this in the bag. Let's get to the playoffs.
Yeah, Aaron Schatz of Football Outsiders has it. Washington wins. They're 86% in the playoffs, 28% with a loss. The Giants are 90% with a win, 31% with a loss. Seattle's 57% either way. The Washington result doesn't really matter to them, I guess. And then Detroit, 20% if the Giants win, 21% if Washington wins. And obviously they're doing calculations based off of what they would need and then strength of schedule and all that kind of stuff over the final couple of weeks of the season. But it shows you like 86% of the time, if you or 86% chance if you win this game, you're in. And if you win 2 out of the last 3, you're basically guaranteed because you have a 2-game lead essentially over New York because you've got the tiebreaker and you've got the game in hand. So this game is kind of worth double in that way. As you then look around the rest of the NFC, is there a team that you would prefer to see in the playoffs, team that you would like to avoid? I think everyone's going to kind of want Tampa. That's going to be basically impossible to catch the Cowboys. Cowboys would have to lose out. You'd have to win out. And then I'd have to check on what the tiebreakers even are, assuming that Tampa finishes 4th. Dallas, obviously, currently in the 5 spot. But between, I guess, Minnesota and San Francisco is realistically what we're talking about in that first round with the Eagles all but securing the bye. Like, is there either of those teams? I think we talked about this a little bit the other day, but either one of those teams that you would prefer to see.
Is there even a question there, Craig? Like, I mean, holy cow. Would you rather see the 49ers who just smoked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 35-7 and seemed to be kind of like, I look at that roster and I'm just like, how did they do that? Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, obviously Deebo Samuel got hurt, but one of the best offensive lines in the league, the best defense in the NFL at the moment. I don't know, man. I don't think I want any part of that team until, maybe round 2 later in the playoff picture.
When
I
you
want
have to face
Minnesota.
them.
Yeah, I want Minnesota, man. Their defense is struggling. They've given up 400 yards in 6 consecutive games or whatever it is. I think Kirk is playing well. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's a heck of a like he might break the 2,000-yard barrier for a receiver, which would be pretty spectacular for him. But I just look at this and I say, like, that is a team that that is better, that is worse than their record. And to see how they played them, the Commanders played them in the matchup here. I think, man, that is an opportunity for this team to do some stuff. Catch a team that's not as hot as San Francisco, and do some good stuff in the playoffs. So I can get a first round playoff win. If I had to pick a team, that would be it.
So, you're right, is the first thing. If you're gonna make the case for Minnesota, it would be I feel like the Minnesota is a tougher place to play. That dome gets nuts. It's a very cool
Yeah,
stadium. They've got the Viking ship, the whole thing. San Francisco is a really solid. I feel like. I mean, you played in Levi Stadium. It's not Candlestick. It's not
no,
the old
it's
place.
much more corporate. Like they have
Yeah,
a lot of so basically the construction of the stadium is such that like you have a lot of skyboxes.
yeah.
And so they're all enclosed. Like it's more of like a Silicon Valley wine and cheese, like there for business meetings type crowd. And it's a very expensive stadium to get seats. So you kind of lose some of that, raucous tailgating fan in there.
Right. So you lose a little playoff atmosphere. So that would be part actually that's part 2. Part 1 is Brock Purdy. And
Yeah.
what Brock Purdy did last week was phenomenal. That kid has no fear, but eventually, 5 weeks from now, like is he still going to be able to play like that? Or is the NFL going to get some tape on him and go, "All right, he's Mr. Irrelevant. That dude's not beating us in a playoff game." Like Jack if you're Jack Del Rio, are you licking your chops going, "All right, I'd rather face that guy than Kirk Cousins." And not that Kirk scares the daylights out of you, but he's still Kirk Cousins compared to Brock Purdy, 7th round pick. And I realize I'm saying that right now, and this, Brock Purdy turns out to be awesome. This clip will live on in infamy. But that would be I guess the only thing is like you are facing Mr. Irrelevant from the most recent draft. You are facing the guy that went 2 rounds after Sam Howell.
Yeah.
And so that would be my only thing, but, to circle back to where I started and where you ended, you're right, because that Niners defense is disgusting, and I
Yeah.
want no part of them if I'm Taylor Heineke, coming up in the playoffs.
Yeah, and to your question about Brock Purdy, I think Kyle has shown a proclivity. Now, obviously, it's 2 games in, so we'll see how this progresses, like you said. But Kyle Shanahan has shown a proclivity for taking quarterbacks who do what he wants them to do. Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, guys that I played with who are good football players, but by no means elite players, and is able to cultivate an offense structure around them that supports them in their skill set. And then if they're supported by excellent defensive play, I think Brock Purdy might come back down to earth a little bit. He will. I mean, he basically had like a perfect game the other day, but no, Kyle can make that work. The other thing that you're going to run into is that Jimmy Garoppolo might be back for the playoff push in a couple of weeks, right? So I think that's another element that needs to be considered is that team, they could be getting healthy at the right time, and you don't want any part of that. I do think that trip is also terrible. Going to San Francisco is tough. Like I'd much
Yeah.
prefer from a travel standpoint to go to Minnesota, but you're right. That Minnesota stadium is awesome. Great energy, great environment. It would be very bumping there for sure.
Did you get a
Which
chance
is
to
a
play there?
Yeah, I played there.
Oh,
It's
I guess
cool.
you definitely would have because you were in Chicago when that place was
Chicago,
open?
Chicago. Yep. When I played, yeah, I played there. It was like the year after it opened, so it was pretty cool though. So yeah, I think that's. I still think Minnesota's the team, just because I think that they're not playing as well right now. Like right now, I think if you could make a legitimate argument that um, San Francisco is the second best team in the NFL at the moment, even with Brock Purdy at the helm.
Well, that was actually the next thing I was gonna ask you. Like, if you go power rankings, Anthony and I did this, yesterday, well, as we're recording this yesterday, Monday on the Hoffman Show. People wanna check it out, go back to the Hoffman Show podcast, hour 1 from Monday, and, we did our power rankings, top 5 teams in the NFL. What would your top 5 in the NFL be right now?
Yeah, so I think I would probably go. Do you want an order like 1 through 5?
Yeah, that's how we did it.
Okay. In terms of teams, I wouldn't want any part of it. Would probably be Kansas City. I would say is probably my number one. Philly, Buffalo, um, Buffalo or the 49ers, 3 or 4, doesn't matter, but I'll put the 49ers 4 because of the Brock Purdy thing. And then for a fifth team, I don't even know who I'd put in there. Dallas, maybe?
I
Like, is
say I
that
had Dallas. Anthony's fifth team was Cincinnati.
yeah, I'd go Cincinnati over Dallas as of right now. Like, we'll see how that shakes out over the last couple of weeks, but that's very close for me.
So
Cincinnati, I think quarterback's
yeah.
better. So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I know he went. I'll tell you exactly what I told him. I hear you on Cincinnati. I don't agree, but I have no qualms.
yeah. Mhm.
It is they're kind of close. And actually, today on the show, so folks will, if you want to hear this, will have already happened by the time the podcast comes out. You can check out either on the Rewind app or Rewind on the Odyssey app or the Hoffman Show podcast. For this, we're gonna do like tiers of teams today, so that's gonna be kind of
Oh,
fun to
nice. Yeah.
place where Washington is in terms of tiers, but like Dallas and Cincinnati are kind of in that same tier.
Yeah.
But to me, I had Philly one. I actually think that they're the team I want. They're just so confident in what they do right now. They have
Yeah,
such
they're
a good
very good.
identity. But Kansas City was my 2, Buffalo was my 3. I think I actually had Dallas. Who am I missing? Dallas and San Francisco. I think I had Dallas 4, even ahead of San Francisco
Oh,
because of the
really?
Brock Purdy thing. Because the thing is with Dallas, and we haven't really talked about them much, but like, God, if you have to beat them at the end of the season, and they don't, it's a game that doesn't matter for them. That could be super interesting. Commanders have been in that situation before. It did not go well against a New York
Yeah.
team a couple years ago. I know because I was there. But for Dallas, they've got an offense that's capable of massive production. Obviously, we think about what they did to the Colts the other week. The Colts are not great, but 33 nothing against an NFL team in a single quarter is preposterous.
Yeah.
Aided by turnovers, obviously, and some non-offensive points, but still, that's nuts. Um, and
I
then
think they're pretty
defensively,
good.
like their pass rush scares the daylights out of you. Like Micah Parsons, is there a player in the league who more concretely can ruin a game by himself that is not a quarterback?
Yeah,
When I say
maybe
ruin, like ruin a game for the opposing teams.
like Aaron Donald, Miles Garrett, that caliber, maybe
Yeah.
but maybe one of the Bosa brothers,
I
Nick, I
think
think.
Parsons is more capable than all of them. Like
Yeah, but I think
Donald's the exception.
yeah, I think statistically right now, like this season, Miles Garrett and Parsons are basically the same, but I think I have to go look it up, but I think Parsons has less rushes than Miles Garrett. So again, kind of speaking to your point, Nick Bosa, I think is again in the same type of tier. But yeah, I agree. I think Parsons is a very special player from a pass rush standpoint, and
Thing is with him
yeah,
though, they move him around so much. Like
yeah,
they will find the way, Dan Quinn will, to make him your nightmare. And
yeah,
so I think that's why I have them where they are in my little power rankings that mean absolutely nothing. And we'll find out how accurate they were when it comes playoff time. But like, I don't want to any piece of Dallas if I'm one of the other teams in the league, because what they can do to you defensively and the potency they have offensively. And at this point, they're pretty experienced too. Like this is a team that's been in the playoffs multiple years. Like Dak's got a couple of playoff starts under his belt, and they just got to go out and actually do it. And we'll see if they're capable of doing that. And Ken McCarthy be a little more innovative than he's been in some playoff games past, where it's like, buddy, it's time to turn it up.
yeah.
Hey, turn the lights on. Time to party. I guess you turn the lights off, it's time to party, but you know what I mean. Turn the lights on, it's time to go to work.
There we
We'll
go.
go with we'll go with that. Today's been a show of tortured analogies. One of them didn't make the show. If you made it this far, you get to know that, but you don't get to know what it is because we cut it. All right. That's the show. Wherever you're listening right now, we appreciate it. Subscribe right there if you are not already. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, make sure you check us out this weekend. Countdown to kickoff gets you set for Sunday Night Football at 6 p.m. coming up on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. And we'll see you guys. I'll see you on the radio for the Hoffman Show, and then we'll see you guys for the live show, 7 o'clock Thursday night for Take Command. And then if you are like, that's cool and all, but I just want to listen to it as podcast, then it'll be in your feeds as usual on Friday, right there in first thing Friday morning. So make sure you subscribe. It'll be right there. And we'll see you then. For Logan, I'm Craig. This has been. Thanks for checking out this clip of Take Command. Or maybe it wasn't a clip. Maybe it was the whole thing. You can always get the whole thing. Let's change the graphic. Ready? Boom. Producing on the fly. Bang. Wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, right here on YouTube. You can also check us out not only at youtube.com/@CraigHoffman, but, Logan, the Odyssey Sports page is live soon. That's very
Yeah.
exciting.
That'll be fun. I don't care where you subscribe, as long as you do subscribe to one of these platforms. That would be very helpful for us.
Yeah, do it, or Logan's going to come to your house and he's going to be a sift blocker and knock you over.
Yeah, cut the legs out from under you, right?
You can't even do that on the field, but we can do it in real life.